Welcome to the webinar today. Thanks for taking time out of your schedules to listen in. My name is Luke. Today we're actually joined by one of our customers, TUI. We're going to talk a little bit about how they use the power of online feedback collection and analysis. Just a bit of housekeeping before we start. One of my colleagues will be handling the chat and any of the questions you might have during in the webinar. So as we're going on, please feel free to ask your questions there. We'll try to cover them. Hopefully at the end of the session as well, if there's some questions, we'll go through. And I think we don't get time to cover, obviously we can send out some information, of course, after this webinar as well. So yeah, I'd like to introduce to you then Marieke Verbossen. She is from TUI, and Marieke, thanks for taking the time out today to join us.
Hi, thank you very much. This is Marieke Verbossen from TUI.
Great stuff. So yeah, I think that's probably a good place to start. Of course, a little bit of background about TUI. I think most of the people on the call probably know what you guys do. But yeah, if you could give us a short summary, that would be great.
Sure, no problem. Well, hi to you all, and thanks for having me in this call of Mopinion. I am Marieke Verbossen. I'm working at TUI now for 1.5 years, and I'm responsible for all the customer experience reporting and performance metrics for the Benelux, so for Belgium and Netherlands. And we use Mopinion for some of our touchpoint measurement, for example, for web and customer services. And we are doing this also, I think, for almost 2 years now. And we gradually expanded also using the survey tool for also other fields of interests.
Super, thanks very much. And yeah, for those of you that maybe don't know Mopinion, obviously here you can see a brief description. But yeah, put simply, we provide a tool that allows you to collect, manage, and analyze visitor feedback taken across various channels. So we do this, essentially by allowing you to place feedback forms on your site, in emails, natively in apps. And these can, of course, all be triggered based on certain user behaviors as well. Once obviously that information is in, you can, fully visualize it and manage all the feedback with our analytics solution, so you can check it in a way that's most relevant to you. So ultimately, the tool helps you improve the user experience and conversion rates. And yeah, today we thought it would be good to do a sort of Q&A session, really, just to give you insight, into how the tool can be applied with a real-world example. So yeah, I think a good place to start, Marieke, is quite simply, why do you collect feedback from your customers in the first place?
Yeah, of course, we constantly would like to monitor the customer satisfaction, and that's actually the reason why we collect it. We want to monitor and have actions based on the performance on it. That's why we monitor. We do this throughout the whole journey. So we measure afterwards with a kind of post-holiday CSQ. But also within the journey on several touch points. And then we also do, we have surveys on our different channels. So for example, web, customer services, and retail. And the web and the customer services surveys we are doing together with Mopinion. And next to this, we also have some special products we offer. For example, we have TUI Sports, and because it was quite difficult for us to implement them in our current post-holiday CSQ survey tooling, we also asked Mopinion to give us extra license for that. So we're also doing like kind of smaller ad hoc analysis with Mopinion as well, next to the web, etc.
Awesome. Yeah, I think to add to that, just from what we see as well, is obviously, I'm sure a lot of you listening will have, many tools that give you insights into what is going on your websites, of course, whether it's, heat maps or, measuring clicks and what have you. But obviously the power of feedback is then enabling you to learn a lot more about the why, why it is the visitors do what they do on your website, for instance, rather than just the what they are doing, for example, as well. Yeah, leads me on to another question as well, because you mentioned, of course, you use some other tools as well before. Why Mopinion? How does it compare to other tools that you've used?
Yeah, what I really like about it is the self-service part. It's really easy to set up surveys, and also really easy to have things amended for your company. For example, of course, there's like the Net Promoter Score. I don't know if everybody knows it, but it's like broadly used also within customer satisfaction departments or within companies who are focusing on customer satisfaction. Net Promoter Score is a metric from 0 to 10, but we also wanted, for example, our other scores like CSATs, general satisfaction scores. We also wanted a 0 starting with it, and then Mopinion just easily created for us this metric. So there's either a self-service part, which is really good, but it's also really nice to have this flexibility to have added things if you would like that. And next to that, the reporting is also very nice and easy to set up. You have like this kind of widget, they call it, where you can set up simple graphs yourselves. And then also the exports are really easy made. You can dive within the graph. You can also dive in deeper to see more detailed view if you would like that. So yeah, that's for me are really the benefits of the Mopinion.
Of course, good, awesome. That's good to hear. Yeah, you mentioned a little bit already, but yeah, it's good to know exactly a bit more specifically what in which channels that it is that you collect feedback.
Yeah, so if I look at Mopinion, then we are collecting feedback on customer services. So we send clients who had contact with us by phone, we send them a personalized link with a questionnaire after their call. And we do this for Belgium and for France. We do this for Belgium in 2 languages, excuse me, in French, so that's Flemish and Waals, or the other way around, sorry. And then we also have for the Netherlands and Belgium, we do the web. So we have different surveys on the website. We have this on the Dutch website and on the Belgian website. And again, for the Belgian website, we have them in 2 languages. And we have 3 different surveys. So we have like a general form where people can actively go to and say if they have reached their goal, what their goal was, how satisfied they are with the website. Then we have like an exit survey on the web, which people will see if they go with their mouse when they hover like out of the screen towards the cross to close the tab, then there will be popped up an exit survey with kind of the same questions, a little bit different because they are of course leaving the website. And then we also have a small survey at the end of the booking funnel. So when they have made a booking, we ask them how their online experience was. So we have this data collection from these different parts of the website within these 3 different surveys.
Great. I don't think I can trigger your exit survey now because I've probably triggered it before, so I have a cookie. But yeah, for the benefit of the viewers, I can show your passive form, of course, which is this one here on the homepage. So yeah, obviously this is in Dutch, of course, but yeah, as you can see, it's as you mentioned, you're just asking some great questions about what's the goal of the reason of your visit? Is it to book a holiday, or is it for inspiration, to get in contact, etc. And then obviously you're also looking at how easy or difficult it was for the visitors to be able to reach these goals as well, which is obviously always a good metric to track, because it is great to know if they did manage to achieve their goal on the site, of course, but it's good that you don't just stop there. that you do take it a step further and find out, because otherwise you'd have no idea how easy or difficult that task might be. So it's good to see, of course, that you collect that as well, because that can help, obviously improve the user experience of the site as well. Just going back to my questions. Yeah, so obviously we spoke a little bit about the front end of what you're doing. So where you're collecting feedback, what kind of questions you ask, and the triggers that you have set up as well. But I just wanted to talk a little bit now about the back end of it all. I mean, we know collecting feedback, collecting data is only half the job. You need a good structured way to be able to make sense of it. So how do you manage and structure all of the data you're collecting from Mopinion?
Yeah, so we have a different report for every survey. So we have a report for the customer services with only logins, for example, for these customer services managers and team leads. And of course, we have like admin login for me and some other colleagues from customer experience. And then we have also different reports for the web. So we have the NL and Belgium data divided. And then, within the report, we can see all the metrics from the 3 different surveys. So we can easily compare for example, the customer effort scores that you saw. It was the second one on the screen. So how much effort did it cost you? I can see the 3 different scores from the surveys in one view for the Netherlands, and then I can go to another report for Belgium view. That's the way how we set it up. I would advise, if you are going to implement or if you're already working with Mopinion, also to really think about how you would like to set this up, because if you think about this proactively, then this will help you in the future. So that would be an advice I would like to give. And then it's really easy if you want to deep dive. So you have, for example, you have your score and your customer efforts, and you can see it per month, or you can make like simple cross steps. You can easily make a deep dive. If you see for 1 month your score is dropping down, you can click on it and you can see the more detailed scores of these customers. And then there's an extra tab where you can even see the scores per respondent that has filled in the survey. You can see which device they used, etc. But that's quite detailed. And then you also have like a tagging structure. That's also something we introduced, I think, last year within the web team. So it's really easy to tag open responses. So we always give our customer the opportunity to give open feedback. But then we can, when we read this open feedback, we can tag it. And you can have multiple tags within one open answer. And then afterwards, it's really easy to filter on the tags you've made and to see what kind of and how many comments people gave. And these tags can also be used within the data extracts we can make within the tool. So we always take that into account when we make an extract, to also, for example, use these tags, which also make it easier to do analysis on it. And then besides that, it's also possible to have automated tags added. So now we tag them ourselves, but it's also possible to, for example, if you have you see a lot of the word bug in your responses, you can also make an automated tag that once there's the word bug, then it will get the tag bug. So that's something we are working on now, to have this also automatically done, which will make it much easier to go through the data on a more detailed level.
Super.
And then,
go on.
And then it's even possible also to send out alerts based on the words in the open answer, or based on scores. If our scores going below a certain point, for example, we have the CSAT score ranging from 0 to 10. You could even say, if I have a score below 1, I would like to have this or this team lead have an email alert, and you can easily program that within a tooling. And you can also make a combination. So you can say, I only want to have this email sent if the open comment says bug, and if the score is below a certain, for example, below 5. So you can really easily make this email alerts.
Yeah,
think
so they don't even have to log in, of course, if there is the certain criteria or certain situations where you just need to know something from a feedback item in real time. Then obviously the relevant person is getting emailed right away as the moment that comes in, of course. So it helps you deal with, I guess, with more like urgent or pressing issues that would need
more
to be
like
resolved.
solving on the spot, and the tagging is more used for a like more deep dive analysis. So you have like several options within the tooling, which I like.
Cool. Yeah, I was just going to show it a little bit as well with some. This is demo data that I have here, but just so obviously the listeners have a bit of visuals as to what you were referring to as well, of course. So yeah, firstly with the charts and the dashboarding, taking these these elements from your feedback form. So it's just even really simple charts, of course. So asking, did you find what you're looking for? Did you achieve your goal? Well, 17 people saying yes, 10 saying no, or what have you, or, just show me all the feedback results that came in by browser. Other things like looking at the most common words that are coming through in the comments box, or the NPS score by week. In this example, you already mentioned, of course, if you want to show that by month or by quarter or whatever, it's easy to change as well. But yeah, as you mentioned, you can also get a little bit deeper if you want to as well with the analysis. So coming back on the most common words, it's interesting, obviously interesting information to know that in this instance, this word connect is coming up 5 times. But wouldn't it be more interesting to know, well, is it coming up, in a positive or negative situation? So here I can build a chart where I can say, well, show me the most common words, but show me how often it came up in conjunction with a detractor NPS score. So now you have a little bit more context to the words. Now you can see, well, okay, from the the 5 times the word connect came up, 4 times it came up in a negative situation. And as you mentioned, then you can click right in and view that those specific feedback items right away as well. So there's it's quite open, quite a lot of different things you can do, and as you mentioned, you can switch between different dashboards as well. If you're using one dashboard for one country or for another, that's fine, that's possible. I'll just demonstrate quickly what you were referring to with tagging the feedback as well with this demo data. So if I go into my feedback results, inbox, as you see here, right away you can see these are the tags, of course, that you were referring to. So you can add multiple tags to the same feedback item, or if you see, well, okay, this seems to be related to pricing or related to bug, you can add those tags. And of course you can filter your feedback list by tags that you have created as well, whether automatically created or manually created. So yeah, hopefully that gives you the listeners a little bit of an easy oversight into how relatively simple it is to make sense of all this data that comes in and the different ways that you can do it. It might seem like quite a lot, of course, but I think what we want to emphasize is that obviously it's very in terms of what you can do with it. There's lots of different ways and means you can go to get the metrics, get the KPIs that are specifically important to your organization effectively. Yeah, and I think again you already touched upon it a little bit as well, but it's you're able to share with us like some of your key findings so far, some things you found out since you implemented the tool.
Yeah, if I look at not only web specific, I think that's maybe most relevant for now, because like I said, we have a lot of surveys running on it, but Mopinion is, of course, very specialized in web. For example, we had on our bookings page, we found out that for customers, it wasn't really easy to make a reservation if they are with for example, bigger group, and if they wanted to book accommodation with the 2 rooms next to each other, connected to each other. So it was quite difficult to book with 4 people, maybe an apartment with 2 different rooms, or two hotel rooms. And that was a thing we didn't really know before, but really came out of the customer feedback. So that's One thing,
Interesting.
one thing we found out. And then of course you have the bugs as well, which is also sometimes but sometimes it's good to really hear what the customer has experienced. I think the room is one of our main findings, and then we are constantly monitoring our scores to track what is going, is it going up or down, and what is happening. We're actually constantly doing this, but this is something we really came out of the deep dive of having already like 1 year of data.
Yeah,
really diving into it.
And how do you use those scores?
Yeah, we have different customer KPIs, and one of the KPIs is actually our web score. So we measure, like I said, web with customer effort score kind of way. We have call completion rate, and then we have the CSAT, and in this case we use the CSAT, so that's like the general satisfaction score, and we use this as a key performance indicator because for all of our other touch points we also either use NPS or CSAT. So at the moment we also use a CSAT for the web, but like I said, for also call completion rate, it's very important for the web team, and also for me and for TUI in a broader sense. Customer effort score is also becoming more and more important. To have the customer have the least effort while trying to find his way within his customer journey. So it's actually one of the KPIs we are monitoring.
Great. Interesting. Also as well, because you mentioned a little bit, of course, that you've got your web team and there's call centers as well. How do digital and how do customer experience work together?
Sorry, can you repeat this question?
Yeah, I was just wondering how digital and CX, so how digital teams, how the customer experience teams how do they work together?
Yeah, so if you look at the customer services, they have next to the dashboarding within the tool, they make also reporting. So they get the results every month. So the team leads, they can look into the tool itself, and for the customer service agents, they get the results within the report and they also discuss the findings. And for web, they are like constantly, there's one person every day who is monitoring it and also tagging the results. They have, of course, their own in-log. So I'm having like the overall overview for all the different touch points and channels to make sure that we have like the same kind of the same metrics methodology for all the different touch points. But actually the insights and the real actions that lies within the different teams itself. So for example, now we have the survey on sport. We generate insights for them, and it's their job to have some actions based on that. So we also give the different departments an in-log, and we work together for making the surveys and also setting up reports, etc.
Yeah, keeps you busy.
Yes, it does, but it's a nice job. So.
Super. And leads me on to, I guess, one of the last question really, which obviously you're getting quite a lot out of the tool, and you're using it quite a lot in different ways. So you're very experienced with it. I mean, for our listeners, what tips or tricks do you have for anybody that is looking to get started with a feedback program? What would you say from your experiences?
Yeah, I think I will have a few. I think it starts with having a framework of what do you want to ask, when, and why. So when you're setting up different surveys, first think of the metrics you would like to use and why you want to use them. For example, you can use NPS, but do you want to use it on the web? Is it really important for the web, or do you need other metrics? And also have a little bit alignment in that. That's so set up kind of a framework to have your different touch points aligned, and then if you have that already, you can of course start measuring. Then if you look at Mopinion, then I would say really think about also the structure within Mopinion you would like to use. For example, like I said, we have these different reports per country. But maybe if I would have started again, then maybe I would have made the structure otherwise. But it was already implemented before I became in this role, and I was working for TUI. So and it's so really think about that. And really use the tagging from the start. Use the tagging, automated tagging option, because this is really helpful. And also tag by yourself. But really, I should, just also for web teams, directly use this. So it will give you instantly feedback. And if you do this from the start, you will, just keep on track.
Awesome. That's brilliant. Definitely helpful, insightful information. That is it as far as our discussion was concerned, I guess. So I mean, definitely thank you ever so much for your transparency and the insight that you've provided as well for the listeners. I think it would be very, very useful. Just looking at the time a little bit and seeing if we've got any other questions as well come through on the chat. Let me see, because now maybe perhaps we can go through a couple of those quickly. So one of the questions I see is, do you know how customers respond to the forms? Does it hurt conversion? So a good question.
That's a good question. I would say not, but I must say we haven't tested this, I think. But keep in mind that we have small questionnaires, and that's something you should always take into account, that you give them like not 10 or 20 questions, but just like max 5, 6. And also the way you build it up is also important. For your example, you can make questions visible already, or you can make them pop up after each other. This really helps in this, but it's a good question maybe also to research this, if we would remove it, but I'm not really a fan of that, because it really helps with collecting the feedback.
And I think as well, it's about making it relevant to the journey or the flow that the visitor is in at the time. I mean, we've all been there when, you're in the middle of a journey or suddenly trying to purchase something and a pop-up gets in the way. That just doesn't make sense, and that's disruptive, and that could hurt conversion. But if you're obviously smart about the moment and the behavioral trigger that you use, and that ties in with the question that you're asking, then obviously in theory it shouldn't hurt conversion. I mean, if somebody is in a checkout process, they put something in a basket and they are about to leave, if you then trigger a short form just asking them quickly, well, why are they leaving? That should only give you obviously valuable insight and not disrupt what they were doing if they were intending to leave anyway.
And in addition to that, we ask it at the end of the booking, so they're already made their booking, and like you said, we do this exit survey, so they're already leaving the website. And then the other form, it's only it's like not obligated. You can just browse to it or not, so you can choose to do this as a customer or visitor.
Super. That's good. It's good point as well to raise. I think in the interests of time, we're gonna have to wrap it up. I could see that I think there are a few more questions, but we'll go through them obviously after the webinar and send out some emails over. But Marieke, thanks once again for joining us, and everybody else as well for taking the time out of your schedules to listen in.